Yeah, so I felt like I got in a fraction late with Tennessee -3. I gave out Tennessee -3 to my clients this morning, 4% play. I know there was some -2.5 overnight and very early this morning, but it looks like 3 might not be the worst number now, with this starting to move toward 3.5. Listen, it doesn't take a rocket scientist, guys, to realize that the spot favors Tennessee, right? Like, it's obvious that the spot is pro Tennessee based on the fact that you have the number one team on the road catching 3 points. Um, Part of the reason, though, I mean, in addition to it, what I think is a decent spot for Tennessee, I think this is an exceptional matchup for Tennessee because I think a lot of the things that Alabama does not do well, or what I would point to being their deficiencies, Tennessee is going to have the ability to expose. One thing, Alabama, number one, they have so many athletes, so much talent on that roster, but there's still some things that this team does not do particularly well. The first thing is take care of the basketball. Outside of the top 300 nationally in turnovers, they when they're under pressure, they will turn it over. And Tennessee is the type of team that's going to pressure the ball. They're a great defensive team, and they should create the turnovers that Auburn couldn't really create down the stretch, which is really the only reason that Alabama was able to come back and win that game over the weekend. Alabama trailed for a good portion of that game against Auburn, but once they sort of got in rhythm, Auburn couldn't really turn them over, and then Auburn went ice cold for the final 5-6 minutes of the game to allow Alabama to win that game. Tennessee, in my opinion, it's a perfect play on spot for them because they're also going to limit transition here, guys. But Tennessee finally shot the ball against Missouri. Even though they lost that game, they finally shot it well after 3 games where they couldn't buy a jumper. And it reminds me of when I actually went to the Missouri game earlier this year against Arkansas. Missouri was in a huge shooting slump, kind of got hot in that game against Arkansas. And if you looked at like their next 4 games, they shot the ball extremely well. I feel like Tennessee's kind of coming in off of a similar, like horrific 3 game shooting slump. They shot it well against Missouri, took a really bad beat on a buzzer beater from half court, but they're shooting it well. And if they shoot it well tonight, guys, I don't think they're going to have any problem here. This is just a tough matchup and a tough spot for Alabama, who continues to sort of, I don't want to say overachieve because I really do think they're a good team, but this is
Yeah.
the SEC. These are tough teams. I really like the Vols. Love the matchup. I'm laying the 4% play.
So Tennessee's been a pretty dramatically overvalued commodity here in February. They played 4 games since this month started. They're 0-4 against the spread, 1-3 straight up. 3 of the 4 losses against the spread came by double-digit margins. Did this team just overachieve early? And now, I mean, uh, is this a team? Because one of the things that I like to look for, and I didn't last night, and it cost me, is I want to lay points with teams in good rhythm, and Tennessee's not in good rhythm right now, and they're playing a pretty elite foe. What do we do?
So, Teddy, I'll answer the first question first. Do I think they overachieved? No. Tennessee was one of the 4 teams I bet to win the national championship ahead of the season. Tennessee, Baylor, Houston, and Texas were my 4 teams coming into the year that I was extremely high on. So to me, they didn't overachieve. Um, right now, though, like I think you got to look for the buy sign, Teddy, right? Like you're not going to have an opportunity to like once Tennessee starts playing good again, forget like finding a good spot to bet on them because
Yeah,
they're a
good
top
point.
10 team. So here like in my opinion, the fact that they shot the ball well against Missouri is the sign, right? Like that to me is the sign to jump in with them because they shot it so poorly and that's ultimately what caused that run of non-covers. So I'm just gonna if I can get a good offensive performance from Tennessee here, there's no question in my mind they cover this game because I know how good their defense is and their ability to turn Alabama over. I think will really give that's going to be the tough part for Alabama on the road. A team that can get back in transition. Alabama's not going to have the easy points, in transition. And if they're turning it over, I find it hard to believe they leave Knoxville with a win.